Welcome back, Gingies, to a new video. Today we're taking a look at common mistakes made in CS, and some of these you might make as well, so let's get right into it.
Hey, you there. While the video is loading, you have some time to subscribe and like the video. I would really appreciate that. Thank you and enjoy the video.
Okay, so the first common mistake I want to talk about is rotating too fast or too early. Okay, so imagine you're playing on A side Mirage, you're playing behind the box, you're watching ramp, when your teammate calls, pushing B. So what do? The common mistake here is that people often just instantly rotate because they heard pushing B. But there's a huge difference to pushing B and all pushing B. So if your teammate says they're pushing B and you instantly rotate, there's a possibility it's only two people and three of them are just trying to take A control while you rotate. So let's take a few steps back and let's see what you actually need to do. So you're playing on A side Mirage and you're holding ramp. Your teammate says pushing B. What do you do in this scenario? Well, you don't instantly rotate because there's a possibility it's only two people pushing B. What you would do in this scenario is you could go to under, you could go to ninja, but you use this opportunity to take a more passive spot, if that makes sense. So you go into a passive spot. If they still want to push A, they won't expect you because they have a feeling that you rotated already. But of course there is the possibility that they are all pushing B and that he just didn't see them all and that's why he said pushing B. So who would rotate in this situation? Well, it's not you. The general rule of thumb is that the person closest to them will rotate. So for example, the window player in this scenario will go to B, the player that was close to stairs will go to jungle or to window so he can hold mid, and as I said, you take a more passive angle, or you can even just sit here still and just look palace and ramp, right? Now we've talked about rotating too fast, which is a problem, but there's also the possibility that you're rotating too slow. So when your teammate calls all pushing B, it might be a good idea to send two people over there, right? So jungle or window player will go to B, stairs will go to B, and you will take a more passive spot and play something like jungle. Or, I mean, that could be pretty dangerous, so you could go from boxes to CT. This way, you've already started rotating a bit. That's why I prefer to go jungle, because you would already start to rotate a little bit. Like this is way closer to B, but you're still able to hold A if B is a fake. If they go back and they go under, you're still playing jungle, you can hear them, you can take a better spot, you can take a better angle. This way you're not rotating too slow and you've already started rotating, like the process of rotating. I'm going to be fair. Rotating too fast or too slow is a really common mistake, and I try to explain it in the way that I look at it and I understand it. The problem with this is that to know when you need to rotate, to know when you need to push something, to take control of something, you just really gotta play, man, and you gotta learn the game. Like, just play the game, watch pros, and it will come to you. But just make sure if they're saying push B, you understand that that doesn't mean all of them are B. Which brings me to the second common mistake. Okay, so the second common mistake that comes with rotating is the way that you rotate. It might be hard to understand, but when I'll explain it, you'll understand it pretty easily. Okay, so for the third time, let's go back to our scenario. You're playing A side Mirage and you're looking at ramp when your teammate says they're all pushing B. So now we have arrived at the common mistake. This is how people rotate from a side. Or our second option that people do. Well, this is a big mistake because commonly in CS you have a lurker on a team. And if the lurker is in palace and you just run to jungle like that, you will be caught off guard. They get an A opening, most of your team has already rotated because they were saying I'll push B and they can take a side. So how do you rotate in a more careful way? Well, you don't just turn around and run to CT. You can just keep looking at the spots that people will peek at, trying to catch you off guard. So for example, if I would rotate from here, I could be doing this. If I get peeked like that, I can still get a kill or at least do damage and give information. That's a big difference from doing this and getting killed in your back, not even knowing if it was ramp or palace. If you want to, you can even go for a sneak rotate, which I often do because then they won't even hear the steps of you running away and they'll peek out really slowly and it's easier to get a kill. That's how you rotate in a more careful way, and that's how you don't get picked off by the lurker. And I just want to say again, now we looked at the scenario on Mirage, but to really learn when to rotate and how to play more passively and get the timings right, you just need to practice and watch pro games. I've already said this in a previous video. This game's a lot about timing, and it's really important that you practice this and get this right. There's websites like Refrag that you could use that are a really great way to practice this stuff. Okay, I think you understand the gist of it, so let's get to the third common mistake made. So the third common mistake I want to talk about is a mistake that even pros make. You might have already seen pros do this, and that's why you started doing it as well, which it's kind of a bad habit. What pros like to do and often gets them killed is what we call the gun switch. So for example, you're sitting on B banana, you're waiting for a push and you do this. And at that moment, they push out and you die. I really don't get why pros do this, so if anybody has an explanation and wants to let me know in the comments, please do, because I don't understand why they do this. It doesn't help you at all, and I find it like really distracting for me. Just sit still, wait, hold your corner, and when they peek, you shoot. There's no reason to be gun switching like that. I don't see the purpose, don't do it. It's a common mistake made, and even pros do it for some fucking reason. So just don't do it. Okay, so the fourth common mistake I want to talk about, and a lot of people do this, I even do it sometimes. This is what I call the premature reload. In CSGO, you have to be more careful with your bullets and when you're reloading. Okay, so imagine you're playing Inferno, Banana, you've pushed up as a CT and you know there's still T players in their spawn. So what you do is, okay, you get your first kill, you get your second kill, and the common mistake here is you have 22 bullets and you reload. But in this scenario, you've just killed 2 T-side players, right? So you killed 2 players. If there's a third one, he's going to try and trade them. So when you start reloading, you are dead. I think this is something that people do a lot because they used to play other shooters, and I do it as well, so I can't really shit talk it. But the premature reload is really dangerous because you open yourself up to be killed. You're at a huge disadvantage because you literally can't do shit. There's just no need. You're just trying to get yourself killed, right? You could just play more careful. You don't even need to reload. You still have 25 bullets left. You know how many bullets that is? Like, look at this. And that's the thing I do too sometimes. I underestimate the amount of bullets that are actually in a mag in a gun on CS. Of course, if you kill these 2 players and you have 19 bullets left, for example, and you know that the last 3 players are A, well, then you can reload, right? If your teammate already calls that they're on A, they already planted the bomb, you don't need to keep playing with 90 bullets. You still have to rotate. There's time enough for you to reload. Okay, so the 5th common mistake I want to talk about is nades. A big common mistake that people make, and I see this so much, it's insane, is that people take out their nades too fast. This is kinda a hard common mistake for me to explain, but you probably know what I'm talking about because probably happened to you already. But like I said, timing is a big aspect of this game and you need to be really careful. If you're playing behind this box and you're holding a banana push, for example, and they've already walked up and you take out your nade, there's a chance they check you and they kill you, right? Like, you don't always need the utility. You can just go for a peek and kill one, then you can flash, or you can go for a peek and kill two, and when you know they're not close, go for a flash. Because if you do this, you kill one and you take out your flash, his teammates will try to trade him and you're dead. So you need to be careful with your timings, and you need to be careful when you take out your nades. If I hear them pushing banana, I don't just stand here and take out a nade, I just go back with my gun, right? And then I can nade. When there's more space between us. What I like to do generally is when I feel like I can just take the fight, or I'm already too close to an enemy, or there's the opportunity that the enemy is already too close to me, I don't use it. Imagine I'm retaking B and I feel like there's an enemy around here. I run up, I don't do this. I feel like I just do this, and then I'm like, okay, now I can go and I can nade the backside, and now I can start to retake, right? I don't just walk up and take up my nade here, because I have the opportunity to get peeked here and killed. Sorry for the long explanation, but I just want it to make sense. So moving on to the sixth most common made mistake is that people only play one map. Why are you just queuing Mirage? There are so many maps in this game and you kinda need to learn all of them. If you wanna become better and you wanna play Face It, for example, you can't just queue Mirage and be good at Mirage. You need to learn every map because your teammates will play every map. When you go into Face It on high level, I barely play Mirage. Most of the times I play like Anubis or I play Overpass. People barely play Mirage, man. Also, practicing multiple maps is a big advantage because all of these maps have a different way of playing, they have a different way of play style, they have a different way of aiming, using utility. This will completely change you as a player if you play multiple maps and you don't just play Mirage. So my tip for this, and to easily solve this, is just play the fucking other maps. It's not that hard. Of course, sometimes you're gonna be beaten to a pulp, but that's how you learn the game. That's how you practice. You can't practice by always winning, because then you don't learn from your mistakes. Just play the other maps, man, please. Okay, so for the seventh common mistake, I want to travel to Overpass. I think Overpass is an easy way to show this common mistake, and you might already know what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about playing too passive or too aggressive. Okay, so imagine you're playing Overpass and it's the first gun round or something, and you decide with your team to take B control. An easy way to take B control is to just go fast out with some flashes, take control of the side, be an aggressive player, right? That works on T side, it definitely does. But you can't always do that. Sometimes there might be a smoke here or something. You can't always be an aggressive player. Like sometimes it might work to go through the smoke, but you can't always go through the smoke, right? You can't always go in, bah, 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 blast everywhere. And the same goes as a CT, right? There's a smoke here, you don't just go, here we go, we're gonna go running through up, and there's 4 people here. Sometimes you need to play more passive, man. You can just take up an angle when it's smoked, you can hold the corner, you can go to a different position. I'm saying this because I see people play really aggressive on CT and really passive on T side. You need to know your timings and you need to know when you can do stuff like that. You need to learn when you are able to take more control of the map. If you know that there's 4 people pushing A and you know one is in connector, of course you're not gonna be holding this corner. Then you try to take more space up on the map and you try to take more map control. But when there's no information at all, you don't just go running through monster. You're like, yeah, I'm a CT, I'ma just take some map control, guys, let's go. Because there's a possibility they're just waiting here and you are the one that opens up the site. Which brings me back to T side, and as I already mentioned, You do have a lurker sometimes, but that doesn't mean your whole team should be lurking. You need to know when you need to play aggressive and when you need to play passive. Again, it's really hard to explain because it's most of this video is like based around scenarios that happen, and I have no possible way to recreate every scenario. But most of you will know what I'm talking about, might already have lived these scenarios, or in the future you might see it and then you think, oh yeah, I remember Certified Chinch talked about this. Which brings me to the 8th common mistake made. And this one is giving calls too late or too fast. Okay, so this is a pretty easy one. Imagine this scenario. You're playing B-side Overpass. You're holding Monster and your teammate gets killed on Graffiti. But you don't realize because you are too focused on holding Monster, you're not looking at your minimap. If your teammate gets killed Graffiti, that means they're pushing up short and they are gonna be able to kill you in like 0.5 seconds. So what does your teammate do? Well, of course he's dead, but he's still able to help you. And he does this through giving calls. But like I said, the most common mistake here is giving calls too fast or too slow. So you probably have already had this scenario happen to you, but what does your teammate do? Man, fuck this game. Oh my god, every fucking round I get killed like this shit's so stupid, I don't wanna play this game anymore, blah blah blah, wah 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 wah. You're dead. You're dead because your teammate wasted those 0.5 seconds that you had to live, that you were able to change your position, that you were able to retrade him, kill him, all that stuff. He wasted on complaining. Imagine a scenario where he says, two pushing up short, you do this, whoop, and you're holding, you can change your position, you can trade him, you can change what you're doing based on his call. When he's wasting those 0.5 seconds where you're getting pushed by complaining, you're dead, you lose the round. And this is a common mistake that people do, and they lose games because of it, and that is what I'm talking about when I say giving calls too slow. What am I talking about when I say giving calls too fast? Okay, for example, you're playing, again, B, Overpass, you're playing barrels. You see one player, Monster, they're all Monster, pushing B, they're all Monster. So your teammates start rotating, you kill him, it's one player at the plant and you lose the round. Another example is, you hear steps on B Monster, they're all B, they're all B. Stepping B. You peek, it's one player. You peek, it's nobody, and you just heard random breeze on this map, if that makes sense. But you need to be careful with the information that you give, because you're separated from your team. Your teammates only know what you are telling them. They can't see what you are seeing, right? So be careful when you give calls. Don't give them too fast, and don't give them too slow. Well, the giving calls too slow kind of brings me to my 9th common mistake, and that's getting too tilted too fast or having too big of an ego. So like I said, when your teammate dies and he's just screaming, fuck this game, I don't want to play anymore, this, that, blah blah blah, it results in you getting killed. This is why you need to work on your mentality. Mentality is a strong aspect of CS. It's hard for me to give tips about this because I can't just give you a solution and your mentality will change, but I do want to let you know that I did struggle with this as well. I got tilted really often, my ego was too big, and I even smashed stuff, bro. I got killed and I broke stuff. I broke mouses, I broke monitors, I broke desktops, I broke everything, man. I just broke everything because I got tilted so often. And I do understand you. Sometimes you're just better than your teammates and you are losing the game because of them. Sometimes you are telling them what to do and they just don't give a fuck and they don't listen. And if you have watched my streams, this happens quite often to me as well. And I do still get tilted, but Then I tried to realize that by getting tilted, I can't change their behavior and I can't change the game. The way I change the game and change their behavior is by showing that we can win. For example, we're up 0-3, my teammates shit talking me, and I'm like, yeah, fuck you, I'm better player than you, blah 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 blah. All this shit doesn't help. Just go into the round, get a few kills, tell them, guys, we can win this, set our differences aside. After this, we never have to talk to each other again. Let's just fucking win this game and let's go. That's a way different mentality than saying, alright, brother, you shit talked me, fuck this game, I'm done, we're losing. Like, this doesn't help you. Just play the game, try to change your mentality, try to look at yourself, and that's all you have to do. And this is a thing that I learned quite late as well into me playing. I used to look at this game as a team. You have 5 players, right? I used to look at us as a collective. But I think the way I look at it now is that we're all individuals and we just play collectively, if that makes sense. So if your team doesn't want to play as a collective, just play individually and focus on yourself. And if that works, you can get into more playing collectively with your team and all that stuff. You're shit, bro. You have to know your place, and the only way that you get to know your place is if somebody puts you there. That's why I'm saying that you're shit. I want to put you in your place. And that's the thing. Somebody did this to me as well. I was playing ECA a few years ago and I was the most egoistic player. I got so tilted, I broke so much stuff. I was bottom fragging and I was telling my top frag what to do. And I was saying, bro, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. And he said, bro, focus on yourself. You're bottom fragging. What I'm doing might be better than what you're doing. Just focus on yourself and start playing, he said. And I was like, yeah, it's true. I am bottom fragging. The problem is not that we're not playing together. The problem is that I am complaining constantly. The problem is that I'm not focusing on myself. The problem is that I'm not doing shit. And because this player put me in my place, I decided to improve more. I decided to be top frag more so people couldn't say shit like that. I decided that I didn't want to be the one listening to people saying, yeah, you're bottom fragging, listen to me. I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to change. And sometimes it doesn't change the person and they just continue their behavior. Well, there's nothing to do about it than just play individually. But this person did make me change my behavior. I started getting less tilted, I started getting less egoistic, listening to people more often, all that stuff. So, like I said, what I would recommend is play against a player that's way better as you. Go play eSport or go play Faceit. Try to shit talk there. People will put you in your place and you'll know where you belong, and then you will start improving. Because, like I said, you're shit, brother. Know your place. Sorry if I talked a lot about this common mistake, but it's something that is quite a big problem with new players and even players that have played on long terms. And as soon as I solved this problem, because I struggled with this too, I started seeing big improvements. So I would say try to solve it. It isn't that much of a thing you should focus on. If you're struggling with aiming and stuff, focus on that. But I would like to say that muting or deciding to not give calls anymore isn't the solution, because you'll start to not give calls, you won't learn how to communicate, you'll start playing on Faceit level 5, level 4, you'll reach level 8 or 10 and you don't know how to give comms, you don't know how to give good comms, and then you're still in a big problem and big struggle. So just keep continuing to give calls, but try to work on your toxic behavior and try to work on your ego. Okay, Gingies, I kinda have a problem. This video is ending a bit abruptly, and that is because I actually had a 10th common mistake left. But then I started thinking, and this 10th common mistake is something that I shouldn't label it as a common mistake. It's just a mistake that a lot of people make and a lot of people struggle with. So that's why I thought making a separate video apart from this video about that problem would help you way more than if I would just explain it in a few seconds in this video. This video will be uploaded soon, so stay tuned for that. You can subscribe and even put your notifications on, but I won't even set a like goal or a subscribe goal or anything like that because I feel like I just want to help you guys, and this common mistake is something that people really do struggle with and really do need help. So it's probably gonna be a 10-minute video on its own, and this video is already pretty long, so I don't want to explain it in like a few seconds. So sorry for this video ending abruptly, but I hope you understand, and I hope that my tips and me explaining these common mistakes has made you realize that you do these common mistakes and you do need to work on them, and maybe I even helped you. So if I did, leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and stay tuned for the 10th common mistake in the next video. I'll see you Jinjis then. Peace out.